I was just taking shelter from the rain on the roadside when I unexpectedly came across a girl in a wheelchair. At first I thought she needed help, but she just kept staring at me timidly. After hesitating for a long while, she carefully pulled out an old, beat-up piggy bank. I don't have any family left. Could you? Could you be my family? Can I use this money to buy 2 days of your time? Even 1 day is fine. Looking at the hope on her face, the words of refusal rose to my lips. My parents had suddenly passed away. Then I got fired by my boss. My girlfriend of many years broke up with me soon after. Even my landlord kicked me out. The 137 yuan in my wallet was all I had left in this strange city. My last savings. I stood in the rain, on the verge of breaking down, but the next moment I suddenly felt something poke the back of my head. I turned around and saw a hand so thin you could almost see the veins through it, clumsily holding up an umbrella, as if to shield me from the rain. Only when I turned did I realize it was a girl in a wheelchair. She was frail and thin, her cheeks pale, but her messy hair couldn't hide her delicate face. The rain had soaked half her body, but she didn't care. She stubbornly held the umbrella over me. Seeing her struggle to stand just to shield me, I couldn't help mocking myself. I never thought I'd fall so low that a disabled girl would be the one worrying about me. But before I could thank her, her body slowly began sliding backward. Only then did I realize we were on a slope. No time to mourn the dropped umbrella. I bolted it after her. Every time she tried to stop the chair with her hands, her struggling only made it roll faster. Luckily, I grabbed the chair at the last second, but the umbrella flew off from the momentum and landed right on her head. It made her look like a mushroom growing wheels. I quickly lifted the mushroom cap to check on her. "Are you okay?" The girl looked dazed and shook her little head. "Hey kid, why are you out here alone so late?" The second I asked, I regret it. That sounded just like a creepy stranger's line. Sure enough, she seemed to trigger some defense mechanism, shrinking into her chair like a startled kitten. "I was just out for a stroll. You should head home. Your family must be worried." My grandma passed away yesterday. I suddenly realized I'd asked something I shouldn't have, and a terrible thought started spinning in my head. A disabled girl with no family. How would she survive? But that wasn't my problem to worry about. After all, I couldn't even support myself. Maybe out of guilt, I decided to take her home myself. After pushing her into the elevator, I turned to leave. But just then, she tugged at the hem of my shirt with her little hand. "You'll catch a cold in the rain." Hearing that, I smiled inwardly. This girl was a nervous wreck just talking to people, yet she still found it in her to worry whether I'd get rained on. "Tell you what, lend me the umbrella, and we'll set a time tomorrow to return it. Now go on home. It's late. Watch out for bad people." The girl clearly got a bit more scared, but her fingers stubbornly held onto my shirt. Then I got it. She was trying, in her clumsy way, to make me stay, so I decided to do the good deed all the way. See her upstairs first. But when I finally reached the top floor, I found her home wasn't even there. It was higher up, on a rain-soaked rooftop. There was no ramp or lift here. Just steep concrete steps, slick with rain, climbing into the dark. I couldn't imagine how much courage it took for this girl with paralyzed legs to get down. Luckily, she weighed almost nothing, so I easily lifted her, chair and all, up to the top. After unlocking the door with her key, the first thing I saw, right in the living room, was a black and white photo. An old woman smiling kindly, but by the entryway, a few bags of trash still sat and taken out. After all, just cleaning was hard enough for her, let alone hauling garbage downstairs. But the more I understood this, the more one question stood out. A girl this timid. Why would she go outside in the dead of night? Just as I turned to leave, she suddenly asked, "Timid and you already came all this way, so why are you leaving?" Hearing that, I froze for a second, but when I looked at her, her clear eyes chased away my dirty thoughts. Only then did I realize this girl's sense of things was definitely off. She didn't realize how dangerous it was to bring a strange man home, so I bent down to set her straight. Bringing strangers home is dangerous, especially a shady guy like me. Like a kid who'd done something wrong. She instantly got nervous. "I didn't. You're the first one. And I am an adult. I have an ID card." Only that last line came out perfectly smooth. She totally missed the point. I put on a stern face on purpose. "It's not about being an adult. Promise me, no more bringing strange men home." After I said that, I turned to go and got yanked back again. "Then if you don't leave, it won't count as bringing a stranger home next time." I let out a sigh, not just from the trouble of talking to her, but from a loneliness I knew all too well. But I'm no saint. And she was a girl who couldn't protect herself. I couldn't guarantee my own dark side wouldn't snap. One ruined life is enough. At least I shouldn't drag her down with me. "Listen, I know you need company right now. But even if I stay tonight, what about tomorrow? The day after? I need to earn money to survive. I can't stay here forever. I know that's harsh, but you have to learn to face things alone." Watching her little head droop lower and lower, I realized I'd been too harsh. "Look, it's not like some rich lady's bankrolling me. I'm about to starve myself. How about we talk once I'm back on my feet?" But somehow that made her eyes suddenly light up. She hurried her wheelchair into the bedroom and soon came back hugging that old piggy bank. I'll bankroll you. How many days will it last? Her voice trailed off. She clearly knew it wasn't even enough to feed a fish, but she still stubbornly clutched the piggy bank. Seeing her stake everything on this, I didn't know what to say, but I realized how serious it was. This might be her very last savings. If I just left her like this, she could starve to death in here, and no one would even notice. So I asked her seriously, "Where are your parents? You have to tell me the truth. Mom and Dad don't want me anymore. They went abroad. And there's no one they can reach." My tone made her tremble. But she still answered, stammering. A deep helplessness welled up in me. Seeing me not react, she stubbornly held up the piggy bank again. Her arms were already sore by now, but she kept staring at me. "I'll buy 2 days of you. Even 1 day is fine. People can't be bought or sold. They get it. But Mom always said she'd sell me." Her words drove into my heart like a rusty nail. I wanted to beat the hell out of her scumbag parents, and the girl seemed to read the answer in my silence. The emotion she'd held back for so long finally broke. With cards. Big teardrops fell onto her numb legs. Seeing this, I totally panicked. Stop, don't cry. Let's just tuck it out. Okay, I didn't expect those words to hit a pause button. She immediately went quiet, but the tears kept dripping down. She even pouted, which made it look more like I was the bully. Anyone watching would think I was the villain. Finally, I was out of options. "Fine, is there anything you actually need me to do?" That's all. Before I even asked, I braced myself, but all she came up with was this simple request. "Eating's no big deal. You should have said so sooner. Is there any food in the house? Carrots, eggs? Oh, and there's rice in the cooker." Then she suddenly ducked her head guiltily. Seeing her look guilty, I didn't think much of it. I figured her social anxiety was acting up. Without a word, I went to the kitchen, planning to make the egg fried rice I had in mind. But once inside, I found that besides a range hood, all the kitchen had was a few eggs in the corner, some wilted carrots, and 2 well-warmed pots. It was so bare it broke my heart. Luckily, the oil, salt, and seasonings were all there. Making simple golden fried rice would be a breeze. But when I confidently opened the rice cooker, I found a gray forest of mold growing inside, and the rice below was hard enough to be a weapon. I took a deep breath, my eyes already searching for the culprit. And there she was, sneakily wheeling herself back toward her room. Hold it right there. Her body instantly went stiff. She wanted to flee but didn't dare, and you could only look at me pitifully. Her look honestly made me laugh in spite of myself. "Come explain this. They call it leftover rice, but nobody said how many nights worth. Be honest. How many days has this been sitting here?" 4 days. Someone with skills like yours, 3 or 4 days couldn't grow such a perfect colony of mold. It's the rice cooker that wouldn't behave. Hearing her grumble so wronged, I could only chalk it up to bad luck. But halfway through washing the pot, I suddenly realized something far scarier. "How many days have you not eaten?" The girl lowered her head, and her stomach growled right on cue. Now I completely understood. This little troublemaker was just starving. At that thought, I didn't slack off and scrubbed everything spotless. While she waited obediently in the living room, she kept poking her head out to peek at me. More precisely, she was staring at the rice cooker. 20 minutes later, I brought out a pot of fragrant fried rice, but I realized the room didn't even have a table to eat at. Then, like a magician, she pulled out a folding table and a heat pad. I handed her a spoon, and she eagerly took a big bite, shoving it in without even blowing on it. Pot. What's the rush? Nobody's going to take it." Then I tried to bite myself. Not bad. Hearing me, the girl went quiet for a moment, then dug in even faster. At first I thought she was just famished, but halfway through, she suddenly couldn't stop the tears from falling. Yet she never slowed down on eating, crying again. "Why? Don't tell me the pot wasn't clean and she got sick from it." It scared me half to death, but the girl smiled through her tears, wiping them as she explained, "It's nothing. I just thought of my grandma. She always used to say that too." I was about to say more, but her healing smile caught me off guard. In that moment, a lot of my gloom lifted. I had to admit, I was a little moved. No. I slapped myself, which startled the girl. After calming her down, I decided to teach her survival skills, and then leave. So I asked her where she went to school, since at her age, she should have at least finished high school, but she seemed very sensitive about the topic. She thought a long time, then said quietly, "I went to middle school. In middle school, the other kids kept making fun of me. It hurt a lot. So Grandma let me stop going." I let out a long sigh. Stuck at home for so long, cut off from society, and now even the one person who loved her, her grandma, was gone. Forget normal social skills. Her mental age might be stuck in the year she dropped out. I knew school was a dead end for her. What about community subsidies and aid? Has your family ever received any? Just as her cluelessness was giving me a headache, she suddenly broke my train of thought. Can I draw you a picture?" I'm afraid you'll leave and never come back. Before she finished, she wheeled herself back into her room. Curious, I followed, and the moment the door opened, I was stunned. It was like stepping into a fantastical starry sky painted across every surface, but near the ceiling, there was still a blank patch. I guess that was as high as her wheelchair could reach. I really loved drawing. The moment she mentioned it, her eyes filled with confidence, but I couldn't imagine how hard painting those walls must have been for her. She happily pulled out her sketchbook, her lively eyes darting as she drew, glancing between me and the page. In under half an hour, she'd finished a portrait of me. I took the sketchbook from her slightly trembling hands, but the moment I saw it, I froze. In it, I was crouched in the rainy night, holding a bowl of egg fried rice, while a little white cat pawed at my pant leg, staring longingly at the rice. I never expected that this was how she saw me. But where did this little cat come from? The girl didn't answer my question. Instead, she snatched the book back at lightning speed, but it still caught her ears, turning so red they were almost smoking. That's when I realized the cat was her. I instinctively glanced at the top of her head, half expecting to see actual cat ears. Instead, I met a pair of eyes, full of confusion and wariness. She shrank back into her chair again. To keep things from getting awkward, I quickly changed the subject. Can I see your other drawings? Sure. This is Grandma John from downstairs. Back when I used to sneak out, I'd often see Grandma Chung standing below, waving at me, and this is Grandpa Lai. He's a carpenter. He's the one who built my old wheelchair. I kept flipping through the album and saw that everyone who'd ever helped her or crossed paths with her had been drawn into this little book, calling it a sketchbook. Didn't do it justice. It was more like an adorable, heartwarming diary. Then an idea struck me. I pulled out my phone to check commission prices for art. A single piece went for 30 to 50 yuan, but for her, that would be enough to get by. So I found a chibi-style avatar online and asked if she could draw something like it. She gave a small nod, but she could only draw on paper. That wouldn't work. We'd need a drawing tablet at least, so she could practice digital art. Luckily, I looked up an entry-level tablet online, and it was only about 100 yuan, still within my budget. Plus, I had an old laptop collecting dust at home that could make do. I worried she didn't have a phone, but luckily she said she did. However, when she fished an ancient relic out of her pocket, a beyond saving old flip phone, my last bit of hope died right there. Will this work? The phone could wait. After all, for someone who could barely afford food, this project was just too expensive, with no guarantee she'd even land any commissions. Honestly, I thought about giving up right then, but seeing the light still in her eyes, I gritted my teeth. Screw it. Life's already this miserable, can't I be reckless just once? Suddenly, I remembered the place my parents had rented before they passed. There were still 2 weeks left on the lease, but the 3,000 yuan deposit should be refundable. Tomorrow I'd ask the community office about her subsidy, then find myself a new job. With careful budgeting, supporting her for a month or two shouldn't be a problem. The rest came down to what she wanted. Do you want to earn your own keep through drawing? Hearing her say yes, I felt a lot lighter. I planned to go tie up the old place first, but as I left, she grabbed my shirt again. Will he come back tomorrow? Yes. Seeing how cautious she was, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. At least she wasn't asking me to stay the night. Anyways, early the next morning, I called the landlord to get my deposit back. Maybe out of sympathy for my parents' fate, the landlord even refunded the last 2 weeks of rent. Then I went to the shopping street and found myself a print shop job, paying 3,000 a month. By the time I was done, it was already noon. That's when I remembered there was a hungry little mushroom spirit waiting at home, so I rushed over to her place. But the moment I stepped off the elevator, I smelled something burning. Realizing something was wrong, I sprinted up and pounded on the door. Before I could knock again, it opened from inside. A cloud of black smoke instantly poured out, and there was the little wheelchair gremlin, coughing like crazy, eyes darting like a kid caught red-handed. Seeing she was okay, I was both relieved and alarmed. I dashed into the kitchen and shut off the smoking rice cooker. When I lifted the lid, I was speechless. The pot was burned bone dry. The bottom charred to a black crisp. I whipped around and caught the little mushroom spirit trying to make a getaway. Care to explain what happened here? I just wanted to try cooking, but I was afraid you'd see me mess up, so I hesitated forever, and then forgot. I gritted my teeth. If I hadn't gotten here in time, who knows what disaster this girl would have caused. Kyushu, if you ever cook again, I swear or I'll stew you. Seeing Kyushu look so wrong, my anger melted away in an instant. Go on, go take a stroll. I'll call you when dinner's ready. Kyushu let out an okay and wheeled out of the kitchen. After the meal, Kyushu patted her slightly rounded belly. She didn't actually eat much, 2 or 3 times less than most people. She just filled up easily. Seeing this, I couldn't resist teasing her. Look at that round little belly of yours. Want to go out and walk it off? Kyushu nodded obediently, but once it registered, she quickly covered her stomach. My belly is not round. I noticed she still spoke slowly. but at least she didn't stutter as much as before, so I told Kyushu to bring all her documents, planning to head to the Civil Affairs Bureau. But the moment she heard Civil Affairs Bureau, Kyushu panicked. The Civil Affairs Bureau? Isn't this too soon? Where did your dirty little mind run off to? I'm telling you to bring your disability certificate, your ID, and so on. They ask where your subsidy's being sent or whether you've ever received it. I stared hard at the girl in the wheelchair. Only then did she realize she'd misunderstood. The air got pretty awkward for a moment. I just went to wait outside the door, though I didn't know what I was running from either. By now I couldn't figure her out anymore. If you said she was like a child, she still instantly got what Civil Affairs Bureau implied, but she clearly lacked common sense in so many ways. Maybe she was just naturally airheaded. It's not like her brain would be pitch black if you cut it open. The thought made me shudder. Just then, Kyushu cautiously poked her head out, and after confirming I was still there, she visibly relaxed. Hurry up and come out. What are you staring over there? Any later, and we'll have to wait in line. And if I get tired by then, and rest in the wheelchair myself. You pecking on me. Kyushu was clearly spooked, her little hands pushing hard to wheel herself out. Seeing this, I couldn't help laughing out loud. When Grandma Div saw me, she stopped me without a word. She eyed me warily. Afraid this girl was being conned by some creep, I quickly explained. Once she learned I'd saved Kyushu yesterday, Grandma Div's expression turned to pleasant surprise. Sizing me up, she said, "Young man, you're a bit poor, but at least you seem decent. This poor child. Her grandma passed so suddenly, and these old bones of mine can't look after her much longer." With that, Grandma Dao gave a meaningful look at the blushing Kyushu. I hurried to change the subject. "Grandma Dao, do you happen to know where Kyushu's disability subsidy is sent?" But Grandma Ju said she didn't know either. "Kyushu, do you remember your grandma's bank book pin?" Kyushu shook her head. That made things tricky, so I decided to take her to the bank for a new card, then just change the payment account directly. That'd save a lot of back and forth, so I wheeled Kyushu toward the bank. On the way, she kept turning her head to sneak glances at me. Finally she worked up the courage to ask them, but don't count on it, oh bank book. Seeing her hesitate, I couldn't resist teasing her. But, good news, you're getting your own bank card. Way more convenient than a bank book. Whoa. Is a bank card expensive? Not really, it's only about 10 yuan to open one. That's so much a whole week of my allowance. When was this allowance from? I drew in a difficult breath, my heart itching for her. Don't worry, I'll find a way to help you earn money. This is even hundreds of times that allowance. Really? Kyushu tilted that not so bright little head. She clearly had no concept of numbers. Her clear eyes held only hope for the promise itself. But the moment we reached the crowded bank, her social anxiety flared up again. When the teller asked what she needed, she stammered and frantically tugged at my shirt, like she was clutching at a lifeline. So I signaled to Kyushu to pass her documents through the little window to the teller, but Kyushu, like she was feeding a coin slot, shoved her entire bag through. The teller just stared, dumbfounded, but thankfully, we got the card done smoothly in the end, and set up online banking for her too, so she wouldn't have to go downstairs every time she withdrew money. On the way to the Civil Affairs Bureau, Kyushu clutched the card tightly the whole time, examining it with a little giggle. Seeing this, I couldn't help teasing her. It's just a bank card. Is it really worth getting that happy? Careful, someone mistakes you for a dumb kid and kidnaps you. You talking nonsense. Madam, only you sim, Tum. You're the bad guy. Hearing that, I froze up. Sure enough, even the passers-by were giving me strange looks. I quickly leaned down and covered Kyushu's head. If I let her keep talking, I'd probably get hauled off to jail. But the instant my hand touched her head, she went completely silent. Only then did I realize how inappropriate it was. I quickly let go and apologized, but instead, Kyushu blinked herself. It's okay, I just got too excited. Right then I wanted to chop off my disobedient hand. Kyushu had just been too cute, and I couldn't help patting her head a couple more times. I rambled out some clumsy explanation, thinking that would be enough to brush it off, but after thinking for a few seconds, Kyushu suddenly blurted out, "Then why did you pat my head?" Her stubborn, straight-up question caught me off guard, but seeing how earnest and honest she looked, after some thought I decided to come clean. "I just think you're as cute as a little animal," so I couldn't resist. I turned away, pretending not to care, and secretly checked Kyushu's reaction, but she just let out a mouth and turned her head away, though it looked like she was secretly smiling, but I didn't think much of it, figuring she was just happy to be called cute. Soon we arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau. There was already a long line. Kyushu looked around at the cheerful couples and asked curiously, "Are all these people here to get married?" "Probably." I didn't dare say much, afraid of giving her any more unnecessary ideas, but Kyushu spoke first, pointing at a gloomy-looking couple nearby. "What about them? Are they here to get married too? They might be here to get divorced, or they could be here for something else. I'm not really sure. Want me to take you over to ask?" Sure enough, the moment I mentioned going over, Kyushu instantly chickened out. Who it is what? "You must have been married a bunch of times. Don't talk nonsense. I've never been married. This is my first time at the bureau too." Will I get married someday too? Maybe. Maybe not. It's your choice, Tatoi. I can choose someone too. A flicker of hope appeared in her eyes, but it quickly dimmed. But will anyone choose me? Hearing those words full of self-doubt, a sudden flash of anger rose in me. Who told you that? It was Mom. Mom said someone like me would be lucky to get married off at all. I think she's right. If someone really were willing to choose me, I'd be content. Kyushu's voice grew smaller and smaller as she gripped the wheelchair that held her up. I quickly crouched down to comfort her. Don't think like that. You're wonderful, so wonderful others would feel ashamed next to you. Really? Then look, Arta too ashamed to even look at you right now. Maybe out of guilt. I instinctively avoided her gaze. After thinking it over, she suddenly blurted out, I thought it was because you don't like looking at me. Saying I didn't would go against my conscience. But if I said I did, things would head somewhere weird. Now I had no idea how to answer. Luckily, Kyushu didn't dwell on it. But she wasn't done asking either. So in the future, will I end up divorced like them too? They all look so unhappy. Just like when Mom and Dad used to fight. I don't know. Honestly, I had just gotten out of a breakup myself. What right did I have to answer that? Thinking of my own messed up lie, I felt self-mocking and a little down. But the next second, I suddenly felt a little hand pat me. Don't be sad. Your hands are big enough to cover my whole head. Just like my grandpa's hands when I was little. Grandpa was a good man, so you're a good man too. I couldn't help laughing. This girl's strange logic. How did she manage to connect being a good person with having big hands? But I had to admit, ever since meeting Kyushu, my mood had lifted a lot. Soon it was our turn. This time I didn't wait for Kyushu to speak. I went first, addressing the clerk. Hello, we'd like to ask about her subsidy, and also change the payment account. Please show me the relevant documents. I nudged the still spacing out Kyushu, and she hurriedly dug a stack of documents out of her bag. Clearly having learned from earlier, her coin slot move was much more natural this time. But when the clerk asked why she wanted to change the account, Kyushu froze up again. She instinctively glanced at me, but didn't want to trouble me, and tried to speak up herself, but she struggled forever and couldn't get it out. It was obvious she hadn't conquered her fear yet, so I quickly stepped in to help. Her grandmother passed away recently. Then please show proof, and fill out this form. No problem, just sign your name here. Kyushu was finally relieved, and obediently picked up the pen to fill it out, but her calm didn't last long. The clerk broke it. Say, you two are a couple, right? Want to register in marriage? Well, you're here. Get married now, and we throw in rice, flour, and oil, plus a basin and some eggs. No, I thought. I'd almost forgotten this was the Civil Affairs Bureau. I hurriedly explained we were just friends. I glanced over at Kyushu, only to find she was already bright red. If I hadn't stopped her in time, the pen in her hand would drilled a hole in the paper. Before leaving, I asked the clerk, and learned the subsidy would be sent in 2 days. I felt relieved. It was only 1,350 yuan a month, but combined with my new 3,000 a month job, at least she wouldn't go hungry this month. But after we left the bureau, I noticed she was still stuck on the earlier topic. She seemed to have some urgent need to get married, because Grandma said that once you're married, you'll have someone to keep you company forever and ever. We'd be happy together. And when I fall down, he'll blow on my scrapes and accept all my flaws. Her eyes were full of longing, but I also realized everything she pinned on marriage was simply a desire for companionship. So, is there a type you like? You can't just spend your whole life with someone you can't stand. I haven't thought about that, but Grandma said, when you meet someone you want to marry, just trick him home and win him over with your cooking. I had to admit, that's a pretty fierce family motto. Thinking of her terrible cooking, I couldn't help starting a silent moment of mourning for that future foresight. And Kyushu, clearly because of my expression, started losing confidence, but she stubbornly insisted, I'll definitely make it delicious. Sure, I believe you. Worst case, I'll just drag him home to cook for me. Hearing that, I shivered, remembering how we first met. Why did that sound like she was naming me? But seeing how silly she was, she didn't seem the scheming type, so I tested the waters. How's that any different from a bandit conscripting people? To my surprise, Tijo actually nodded. Oh, Tijo, you even know what press gaining means? She nodded again. Grandma Lee said it means dragging a young, strong man home, and then smooching him. These old ladies, what on earth have they been teaching this girl? Seeing Kyushu's ears turn slightly red, I suddenly realized this was getting complicated. Do you really understand what that means? I do. I'm not a kid anymore. I get what I need to get. But her head sank lower and lower as she stubbornly kept explaining. I know bringing you home yesterday was wrong. But back then you were just like me. I thought you needed company too. In that instant, my breath caught. I pushed the wheelchair a long way before it sank in. This girl had known from the very start that I might actually do something to her. but I just wanted someone to be with me. Kyushu's self-destructive look was exactly like mine had been. But seeing her like this, the anger in me burned even hotter. Who told you that needing company means doing this? Did you never think about what would happen if you'd met someone else? But you didn't. That's because I damn well didn't dare, because I think I'm trash. You think people cherish what they get for free. They'll just take you for a fool. I'm sorry, but you're a good person. Kyushu's tears dripped down. And even while being scolded, she still handed me a nice guy card. I was so exasperated I laughed, so I just asked her outright. So you really plan to press gang me? Not at first. I just wanted someone to keep me company. When I realized you're a good person, and then after coming to the bureau, I learned it could work like this. I'm sorry. I was too hasty. After saying that, Kyushu went silent. Thankfully, it dawned on me. This girl might seem to understand everything, but her priorities were clearly all backwards. Her hopes for marriage weren't about love or passion. She just wanted to marry for companionship. Though I really was a little moved. In front of a girl standing on the edge of a cliff, I could never take advantage of her. So I lifted Kyushu's chin, making her look into my eyes. Let me ask you, do you like me? I don't know. You can't even tell if you like someone. And you want to get married. Doesn't that seem absurd to you? Seeing her lips quiver like she was about to cry, I realized I'd been a bit harsh and scratched my head. Didn't they promise I wouldn't run off? Why not take the companionship factor out of it? Spend some time getting to know whether I'm worthy and figure out what you actually need before making these decisions. Even do that during this. Kyushu's eyes lit up again, as if a whole new door had opened. I ruffled her hair. Of course. Your legs just don't work. It's not like you're dying. What's a little more time? But Kyushu didn't react at all. Instead, her face got redder and redder. What's wrong with you? Do you have a fever? Too close. Snapping out of it, I quickly stepped back. I apologized for being so forward, but after hesitating a moment, Kyushu quietly said something that moved me. Will you choose me? After saying that, Kyushu glanced nervously at her legs, her self-doubt practically spilling over. But the next second, her wheelchair suddenly started moving. I sped up, pushing her forward. Come on, let's buy groceries. Weren't you press ganging me? Since you've already caught me, might as well put me to use. Kyushu let out, maybe wanting to check if I was angry. But after hesitating, she didn't turn around. In the end, she just chuckled softly and quietly echoed my words. Since I've already caught him, I had to admit, this girl was kind of cute when she was being silly. I couldn't help patting her head again. Only this time I made no excuses, just acted like nothing happened. Why are you patting my head again? I already did it. What are you gonna do about it? Besides, you've conscripted me already, so I can't even pat your head. But Kyushu lifted her chin slightly, a little less self-doubt in her voice. So you think I'm cute now? Damn, this girl was getting harder and harder to fool. Seeing me refuse to answer, Kyushu worked up her courage and called out, I think you're cute too. Can I pat your head? Her eyes were full of anticipation, while my mind went blank. Was this girl always this blunt? And how did she conclude I was cute? When you angry. You don't have some kind of masochistic streak, do you? Should we get you to a doctor? I do not. I know you got angry because you care about me. So even though I was scared, I still thought you were really cute. And you still say you're not a masochist. I'm not. You know I'm the dumb best. And you're picking on me again. I'm not talking anymore. When Kyushu got flustered, her speech seemed to glitch out again. In the end, she could only pout angrily. But right then my attention wasn't on Kyushu. It was on a phone shop by the road. I hesitated for a moment, told Kyushu to wait there, then gritted my teeth and ducked inside. I came back out a moment later and tossed a small white box to Kyushu. Is this for me? Kyushu stared blankly at the box, frozen for a long while. Of course, why else would I have gone in? Consider it an apology for yelling at you earlier. I couldn't quite look her in the eye, like a teenager giving a girl a gift for the first time. It's too expensive. I can't accept it. It's not. It's the cheapest model. I couldn't afford an expensive one anyway. Kyushu clearly loved the little box, but insisted on giving the phone back, so I just stepped back, out of her reach. But Kyushu actually wheeled herself after me, afraid she'd fall. They kept up the act. Kyushu, you've already conscripted me to cook, so giving your conscript a phone just helps me rush home when you're hungry. Think about it, shouldn't you keep it? Is that so? Yes, absolutely. Besides, you'll need it to earn money later. Worst case, pay me back once you've earned some. After all that back and forth, she finally, reluctantly, accepted the phone, but she swore up and down she'd pay me back once she made money. Seeing it was getting late, I started pushing the chair again to go buy groceries. The moment food was mentioned, she instantly perked up, but the next second, something seemed to occur to her, and she suddenly got anxious. You're not going to buy me a phone and then run off, are you? No. Then how long will you stay with me? Once you've eaten your fill. The autumn sky darkened fast, and through the attic window there was a peculiar kind of calm. Kyushu contentedly stuck out her slightly rounded belly, and stretched. Her thin shirt rode up, bearing a sliver of her slim waist. Her slender, frail figure was fully on display in that motion. I kept feeling like this girl was getting more and more relaxed around me, seeming to notice my gaze. Kyushu hurriedly covered her belly. What are you looking at? I stared at that tiny waist, my throat bobbing. You're so skinny. What's there to look at? Skinny's pretty. Kyushu pouted in protest. Oh, so you know about vanity now. I was amused. With a body like yours, you have to hug a lamppost to go out on a typhoon day. Spend the energy on eating more. Can't eat any more. Kyushu rubbed her belly with a giggle, her smile brimming with happiness. It was as if, to her, a full stomach was the happiest thing in the world. You're really full, I asked again. Kyushu nodded firmly, her eyes suddenly lighting up. Then can I ask you what? I jumped in first, sharp as ever, all full. Then I'm off. I'll come feed you again tomorrow. I have no idea what you mean. I just wanted to dodge the question. I worked so hard to skip earlier, whether I'd choose her. Honestly, it weighed on my mind too, but the way I was, living like such a mess. I couldn't even sort out my own life. What kind of answer could I give? Most kids from poor families have insecurity carved into their bones. Was I really any better than this silly girl? But I couldn't deny it. In that moment, a powerful desire welled up in me. I wanted money. The backbone that a stable home gives, real confidence, the means to live freely, just once. But for now, it was just a fantasy. Kyushu seemed to notice the gloom in my eyes. She opened her mouth, but in the end said nothing. It wasn't until I shook my head to leave that she blurted out, "Did you not go?" My steps paused. I had lost count of how many times she'd asked me to stay. But for this girl, like a silly cat, I always found a little more patience. What is it this time? What's the excuse? I turned my head. Rain drifted gently down. You don't have a place to stay, do you? She wanted to look at me, but didn't dare lift her head. How did you know? I stayed silent for a long while, then let out a sigh, like giving in. Only then did I realize I hadn't changed clothes since getting soaked yesterday and forgot to shower. Still, I made one last attempt. Maybe I'm just a slob. Would a slob clean the kitchen this thoroughly? The kitchen's practically gleaming. Stop, you win. I completely surrender. Still, no, I pressed on. Have you thought about where I'd sleep? I can't exactly squeeze in with you, even if I slept on the floor. Wouldn't it be awkward if you got up at night for the bathroom? And are you really sure I won't get ideas about you? My tone softened. I know you're really just pitying me. He understand. Kyushu nodded honestly, then asked back. So are you admitting you do have ideas about me? I nearly choked and stumbled back a step. I never expected this girl to evolve a little too fast. Rubbing my temples hard, I didn't dare answer to her face, but I didn't deny it either. I mean, come on, could you stop staring at me with those innocent eyes, asking these things in that pure little voice? You're making me feel guilty. Look away. Then what should I do? Fine, I admit you're pretty and innocent. Sometimes a little infuriating, but cute in just the right way. Any normal guy would get ideas. I stepped forward, crouched down, and looked at her seriously. But precisely because of that, I need to hold myself back even more. Do you understand? I do. She nodded obediently, then tilted her head and asked, so if I'm the one who gets ideas about you first, then you won't feel guilty anymore. I was completely stunned, and while I was frozen, a cool, soft sensation touched my cheek. By the time I came to, all I saw was her delicate, fair face, quickly pulling back, turning red before my eyes. But she still forced herself to look at me stubbornly, as if determined to get an answer. She brushed my cheek in the rain. Then I jumped up in pain. What are you doing? Do you even know what you're doing? I no longer cared about those tangled, messy emotions. And clueless about a lot of things, and I don't really know how you're supposed to like someone. Kyushu stammered, but she was dead serious. But I'm certain I'll work hard to fall for you someday. So I'm borrowing from Mobile Fitters, borrowing the feelings I'll have for you. So a little kiss is okay, right? After that, she lost her nerve completely and quickly buried her head. I was speechless, my brain nearly short-circuiting. After a long pause I managed. You can do that. Yes. She nodded with certainty. I can borrow a phone from you and pay you back once I have money, so borrowing a little like from myself. Why not? So in the end, I'm the one who has to hand it over. I felt like a boomerang had smacked the back of my head. Snapping out of it, I cut in. Hold on, is that even logical? Who borrows feelings from the future? And borrowing from yourself means no payback. You're using all your little tricks on me. Then I'll use them on someone else. Kyushu suddenly tilted her head. No way. It slipped out instinctively, and I regretted it at once and gave myself a mental slap. Kyushu couldn't help laughing. Seeing right through me, I'd meant it. And now she didn't mind my stink anymore. I forced a straight face. Who taught you all this? From Grandma Pug's rank or neck? Anyway, They've already conscripted you, and conscripts are for smooching. While I was still processing that, I felt a push from behind. Somehow this girl had slipped behind me and was pushing me hard. Go shower already, you stinky thing. Though cute, she looked like she was trying hard. She really had no strength. I took a couple of token steps. You really want me to stay here? Eve decided, because I've already borrowed the like from my future. So now I am the one with ideas about you first. And you don't have to feel guilty. My little lady, that's not how this works. Head pounding. I started saying whatever came out. You can't predict the future. How do you know what you borrowed is? Love and not hate. Maybe after a while we'll become strangers. Shu hung her head and went quiet. I realized I'd struck her most fragile spot. But just as I was about to say something, Shu spoke up first. Then how do we prove it? Can we do it one more time? You're getting addicted, aren't you? And nearly lost it. I threw up my hands. I believe you. I believe you. Okay. For tonight hard. Looking a little smug. But she clearly did take my words to heart, though just how much. So stay here until you find a place, okay? You've got to live somewhere anyway. She looked at me pleadingly. Give me a reason, well, not quite enough to truly tie me down. I drew a deep breath, at a loss with her. I'd also wanted a reason to convince myself. You held it in for a long time, then softly insisted, I don't want anyone to steal you away. You actually came up with one. I forced down the lump in my throat. She just widened her eyes. I didn't dare look. I grabbed the bundle in the corner and rushed into the bathroom, going to shower. The door shut. Water running, followed by Miguel. Damn. Cold water. 10 minutes later, I came out in clean clothes and found the wheelchair tracks on the floor wiped clean. And at some point, Shu had moved to sit on the floor, quietly waiting for me. Drying my hair with a towel, I asked, you wiped the floor, but why'd you get out of the chair? She looked up at me and raised her face. Down here I can be a little closer to you. My heart skipped a beat. Could this girl give a guy a break with that boldness? Forcing my heart to settle, I quietly sat down beside her and noticed the phone box on the little table, still sealed in plastic. You just sat here waiting like this? Yeah. Is something wrong? She didn't see anything odd about it. I couldn't imagine how lonely her daily life must be. Bored, I instinctively glanced to my side and only then noticed that this girl, always in her wheelchair, was actually so tiny. Don't you ever find something fun to pass the time? Just sitting around like this is so boring. My head's full of the sight of you sitting next to me. It's not boring at all. She looked up at me, those big, shining eyes wide open. I felt an urge and quickly changed the subject. Then you really need to learn to use a phone. Look, you're so bored you're hallucinating. Is that so? Definitely. I insisted, refusing to budge. It's not important. Use the phone. Use the phone. I picked up the box and stuffed it into her arms. Shu cradled the box, turning it over and over, scratching at it with her nails, and when nothing happened, she even